Okay, this is the test review for Module 1B. Because I can't write on the screen, I'm not going to do this in Desmos. I just took a screenshot of everything, and I'm just going to talk through this. So this is the review for Module 1B. It mentions there's two parts. There's going to be two-step equations, and there's going to be also multi-step equations. The multi-step equations will include three-step, multi-step, and proportions as well. If you're unsure about taking this pre-test yet or test review because you're not quite ready, there is a link there for the YouTube channel if you want to go find the videos that were associated with this. The first two videos refer to one-step equations, which is not going to be actually tested on this course. It says, although a lot of this first section is multiple choice, you should be working out the answers with paper and pencil first and then entering your answer. You may use a calculator to check your answers to addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And then we get to our first question. So I'm going to start by writing out the question. So you can imagine this screen here is really like my piece of paper. So I'm writing out my equation. I'm looking where my x is, and I'm trying to move things away from the x. So instead of adding 7, whenever we want to move something, we're going to do the opposite, or we're going to do the inverse. So 70 take away 7 is 63. And as these two things are next to each other, that means I'm timesing them. So the opposite of multiplying by 9 is to divide by 9. Notice I use the fraction line, not the divide symbol. 9 divided by 9 is 1, so I got 1x, which is just x, that's why they cancel. And then 63 divided by 9, you can just check on your calculator, and it should be 7, and then we would select the multiple choice answer if this was actually in Desmos. Alright, next question, solve for y. I did put that message here. Sometimes I put little clues to remind yourself of things while you're doing questions, so don't forget to do the inverse or the opposite while you're trying to solve these questions. So 5y plus 3 equals negative 17. I'm looking for my variable. It says add 3. So to move it to the other side of the equation, that's the opposite or the inverse that I'm going to do. Negative 17 take away 3, just check you're being careful. Use your calculator if you're not sure. And same thing, as they're next to each other, it means multiply. So instead of multiplying by 5, we divide by 5. And negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. If you want to check your answers as well, don't forget you can substitute back into the top. So 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And then it says plus 3 there if I erase it so you can see. And negative 20 plus 3 is indeed negative 17. Let's have a look. Whoops. This one doesn't, but check to see if your fraction simplifies. So you can see the answers here are all fractions. So look for your x term, but then do the opposite to move the number across. So instead of subtracting 5, we're going to add 5. That cancels. 8 add 5 is 13. And then instead of timesing by 2, we divide by 2. So you'd end up with positive 13 over 2. But this refers to questions like, if you have 10 over 4 as the answer, don't forget to divide both by 2 and end up with something like 5 over 2. Or another common one is, if you happen to divide by negative 3, you'd end up with 2 divided by negative 3. Don't forget to bring that negative to the top. A positive divided by a negative is a negative, so it has the effect of looking like the negative has moved to the top. Whoops. 2 over 3t minus 9 equals 3. So I'm bringing things away from my variable again. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides, which will give me 12. And then a couple of different ways, depending on how you see this question. You could say the opposite of timesing by 2/3 is to divide by 2/3, and that would be right. If you're doing it on the calculator, you would need to put the 2/3 into parentheses, and you should get the answer of 18 if you want to check if that's correct. The other way you could possibly do this question is break this up into steps, actually. So the line on the fraction we know means divide, so instead of dividing by 3, you could times both sides by 3, and then the 2 that's next to the t, we can divide by 2, and that would also give you 18. So whichever you feel more comfortable with, either dividing by 2/3 or breaking it up into steps, or another way you could think of it also is by multiplying by the reciprocal as well. So instead of timesing by 2/3, you can actually times by, and the reciprocal is the fraction turned upside down, and 12 times 3/2 is also 18. So a few different ways of thinking of that question. 50 minus 3a equals 14. And so here's my variable, but notice it has a sign attached to it as well. It has that negative sign there. Now I'm going to move the 50 to the other side first. So as it's positive 50, I'm going to do negative 50. So I have negative 3a equals 14 minus 50. You might just want to check on a calculator at negative 36. And then instead of timesing by negative 3, you divide by negative 3. And the two negatives make a positive. And 36 divided by 3 is 12. But you should probably be checking on your calculator anyway. This time I have two variables. So I'm trying to move all my variables together. So I'm trying to move them away from the number. So I want to move the 2v across to the side. So as it's a positive 2v, the opposite would be negative 2v. 4v take away 2v is 2v. Positive 12 is just 12. And then divide both sides by 2. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. Another one with letters. So 6v equals 35 minus v. And once again, I got letters on both sides, so I'm trying to move the one that has a number next to it, so I'm trying to move that one to the side. So instead of subtracting v, I'm going to add v. And remember, v is 1v as well. So 6v plus 1v is 7v, equals 35. And then divide both sides by 7. And 35 divided by 7 is 5. We're now on to ones with fractions, and the fraction is over the whole term. So I really want to move that to the other side first. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. And then that would cancel out. So 10 times 5 is 50. And then we can take away 3 from both sides. And 50 take away 3 is 47. Oops. This one's not going to be as easy to show, unfortunately. I tried to move the cards together a little bit. There's basically 12 cards that you're going to match together. And you're going to drag one on top of the other, and it will actually group them for you. So it says group the cards into 4 groups of 3 that have matching verbal equations, algebraic equations, and their solutions. So 12 subtracted from a number tripled is 6. Now I know subtracted from is one of those flip words, so that's actually going to be negative 12 at the end. And I know that a number tripled is 3x, and is refers to equals. So 3x minus 12 is 6, and I'm going to call that one 1. I would normally just drag these together on Desmos, but as I'm just using my screen, we'll have to improvise a little bit. 12 less than, once again, that's another flip word, so I know that means minus 12 at the end. A number doubled, so that means times by 2, so 2n minus 2 equals 6. Of course, I don't know if it's n or x. Actually, for all these questions, it looks like it's x. So 2x minus 12 is 6, looks like this one down here. 12 more than, that's another flip word, so the plus 12 should be at the end. Twice a number, that's 2x, equals 6, and that would be that one there. And the last one, 12 plus a number. So 12 plus, this one doesn't flip, just the less than, the more than, subtracted from. A number tripled, so a number tripled is 3x. Equals 6, and obviously that had to be our right answer. Now from here, you're going to work out each one independently. So I'm just going to work out the one on the left, but you can check the other ones. So I'll add 12 to both sides. 3x equals 18, and then I can divide by 3. And x would equal 18 divided by 3, which is 6. And then you could put that one within the group as well. So you'll have 3 cards stacked together while you're trying to do this. So that's an example of some of the word problems, and it links in with our first unit, checking basic vocabulary. That's the 1B.1 test review on 2-step done. The first section of the test will be similar to this, so make sure if you do not understand a particular question to ask your teacher about it before your test. Your test will be less questions than this. Some will be multiple choice, and some just will be type in the number, though. For ease of convenience, this one will have mainly multiple choice on it. And that will do it for this video.